Talking Tuesday. It's what we do. We just sit around, smoke a pound, and talk about what we do in the cannabis world. We gon' let you know how the business go on a brand new show. Talking Tuesday. Show you how to do it right.
So here we are, Token Tuesday. I got Keith to my left and I got Marco to my right.
Yes,
and
sir.
Tuning this up. We come here, we are real cannabis players. I cannot really say this enough. But the reason why I brought these two brothers on with me is because we're going to talk real cannabis things to you guys as far as events, as far as subjects, as far as like real stuff in the cannabis industry. We not high. We taking the skirt off of all these cats out here in the cannabis industry. We uncovering it in a vicious way, and then we bringing some knowledge and information for the cannabis industry. We talking the consumers.
Yep.
We talking the industry players.
Yep.
And we talking the industry leaders.
Yep.
We talking all that. So what we come to bring is politics.
Yep.
We come to bring information. We come to bring how the get down of the industry, both sides of the industry.
History.
We all know it's two sides to this industry. We ain't like no other industry that exists right here in America right now. It's two sides to our industry. Everybody know what I'm talking about that's out there. So, welcome to Token Tuesday, powered by California Cannabis, where only the best grows in the West. We're going to kick off a couple of topics here today, but we're going to start off with Mr. Keith talking about, tune in, Keith, where we at?
All right, today we will explore two cannabis hot topics. Number one being combating the opiate epidemic. And then number two, veterans' access and research to cannabis. So let's jump right into this. So I wanted to open up with a quote. And when you guys hear this, I think we'll all know who said this quote. It says, "We can't solve problems by using the same kind of thinking we use when we created them."
Right.
Okay? And Albert Einstein, he famously said that. Now, what I want to do today is, before we actually get into this miracle plant that God put on this earth, let's talk about modern Western medicine versus holistic medicine that will use tools like cannabis to improve your health, okay?
Right.
So when you talk about modern Western medicine, what we want to talk about is they use research and systemic-based approach to diagnose and treat various specific medical conditions, often using pharmaceutical drugs, radiation, and surgery. In the modern Western system of medicine, it is common for patients to be referred to specialists as far as endocrinologists, neurologists, but experts. Now, the main reason why I bring that up, you guys all have cultivated before, right?
Absolutely.
Yep.
And when we look at that whole plant, do we say, hey, we're going to call a leaf doctor?
No.
We're going to
No.
call a stem doctor. Or maybe we call a root doctor, right?
Not at all.
No, when we approach cultivating cannabis, we approach the whole plant, okay? Now, I say that to say this. The comparison or the opposite of modern medicine would be holistic medicine. Now, holistic medicine, which may also be referred as traditional, alternative, or Eastern medicine, it recognizes health as a combination of mind, body, and spirit. Holistic medicine focuses on lifestyle, mental health support, social relationships, and an environment and that health can pretty much foster, right? This approach tends to fall outside the paradigm of modern Western healthcare as it involves whole body support, slow healing with an emphasis on natural therapies. Holistic doctors and practitioners may use herbs, supplements, homeopathic medicine, acupuncture, manual medicine, or even what they call manipulation, right? Now, as we started to tell you about some of the alternatives to opiates, what I always want to caution you guys is always talk to your doctor, right? Now, here's a specific doctor that has knowledge of cannabis and herbs. Osteopathic doctors, these are doctors that are MDs, so they have education like the traditional doctor, but they also have a whole body approach to it. Now, the reason why I gave you guys that two aspects of modern medicine versus holistic, when we're combating the opiate epidemic, first, let me tell you the magnitude of how bad this crisis is. In 2016, Johns Hopkins did a study. In that study, they found that the third leading cause of death in the U.S. was doctors prescribing medicine, and either that patient took it exactly how the doctor prescribed it and end up dying, or the pharmacist read milligrams for grams and gave them too much. But nevertheless, there's no what I call safety net there. Now, what type of drugs are we talking about? We're talking about opiates, Oxycontin, what is the one that Future always singing about? Percocets. Percocets. Vicodin.
Percocet.
Valium, Xanax, Adderall, right? Now, when you look at this, it says how many people are on opiate prescriptions a year? The overall national opiate dispense rate declined steadily from a rate of 46.8 opiate predictions dispensed per 100 person in 2019 to a rate of 39.5 opiate prescriptions dispensed per 100 person in 2022. Now, this is mostly caused by Obama in 2019 having the Addiction Prevention and Responsible Opiate Practice Act.
Obama did that, y'all.
Now,
Obeezy did it. I gotta tell you, Obeezy did some things, man. Y'all, I loved him, man.
Obama
Black
with the
man
drama.
in office, but man, I'm here to tell y'all, Obeezy didn't do us good, man. Obeezy did not do us good.
Y'all just loyal because of them Obama phones.
You know what I'm saying? Obama phone, yeah, they got that Obama phone.
He got loyals because of the Obama phone got him. Yo.
so here's the what I want to leave with when we talk about combating the opiate crisis. Number one, did you guys know that your body has opiate receptors?
Didn't know that we had opiate receptors.
Didn't know that.
No, we got cannabis receptors, but didn't know we had opiate receptors.
Now, the reason why I bring that out is because if we talking to anyone and they say, well, hey, poppy seeds, that's a flower too, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the biggest difference between you having poppy seeds, which poppy seeds is where they get heroin from, fentanyl is 1,000 times more stronger than heroin.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
With cannabis, and this is why I tell people it's not a drug all the time. All we did is grew it, dried it, and provided it for you.
And to add to the poppy seed thing real quick, to my people from Cry Help, Rehabilitation Center, mad love to y'all, but I'm definitely a graduate when I went to Prop 36. And the one thing that I learned, just to add to that, is that a lot of us, we were unaware when we tested positive in our P test, it would come out for THC and cannabis. But what it is poppy seeds comes out like cannabis in your P test. So just know that if you're somebody who has to take a P test and you eat poppy seeds, it will come out like cannabis. They have to look into it further. So just wanted to add to that.
Let's talk about, since we're talking about drugs, let's just talk about the perception of drugs in the community, right? Why was cannabis so looked down upon and frowned upon within, let's just say, the black community by itself, right?
Yeah.
And the reason why is because the war on drugs.
Yeah.
Yes.
When you think about the war on drugs, you have to have a clear understanding why when we now try to legalize cannabis in the black community, the preachers, the old folks don't want to hear that.
Yep.
Why? Because they've been through the cocaine drug era, the failed war on drugs.
Yes.
When cocaine was dropped within our community, prior to that, when heroin was running rampant around the Vietnam era, and that was also brought to our community.
Yeah.
And even then before that,
Yeah.
when they were popping pills, the Red Devils, the Yellow Jackets, the uppers, the downers, the Quaaludes, y'all kind of too young probably to know about that. And I was even young, even during that era.
Quaalude especially, 'cause that was like a disco era and all that.
Exactly.
Quaaludes is hard.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I was even young during that era, but I knew enough about it because, being around the liquor stores and stuff in Compton and so on and so forth, and hanging,
Other OGs.
those OGs and players during that time, pimps and players and hustlers, because that's what it was during the 70s, pimp, players, and hustlers. And so they was out there, and that's kind of the product that they was moving.
Right.
Until cocaine hit. So when now we talk about something that was taught to us taught to us as a drug,
Right.
not a medicinal herb, not something that has medicinal value that can be used to help us.
Right.
Even though the old folks knew that herb was there to help us. A lot of them smoked it. A lot of them soaked it in alcohol and used it for pain medicine.
Yeah.
So let's,
It's
really
so true.
talk about that.
It's so true.
So the black community
Yeah.
as a whole rejected cannabis legalization because of the lack of education and believing what was taught to us within the system that this is a bad thing. Like this.
And to add to that, if you don't mind, brother, to add to
yeah.
that, being raised in two communities. I was raised in Panama, in the Caribbean side of Panama, Colón, Panama, which is where all the Afro-Panamanians are at. So our culture, the things that are affecting here, are affecting them as well. And then we have, I was in Burbank. But just to add to that, I always told people in Burbank, the reason why a lot of us didn't see cannabis or marijuana as a bad thing, or we were kind of already going towards that route, is because in our communities, the people that are growing weed, the people who are associated with weed, were successful.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
That's the difference.
our association with it was never negative because your friend's father, who's a director, big time director, smokes weed. The police, your friend's father, who's a police officer, grows it. This lawyer that you know smokes it. So in that community, weed, it was always still associated with successful people. So there's no way that you could look down on it, because how are you going to look down at that person who's doing better than all these other? You know what I'm saying? Like it's kind of hard to find it that negative when someone you do look up to that is successful is using it. And then I've noticed in the urban communities that I've witnessed is that they associate the crackheads as the marijuana heads. So I remember my grandmother and her friends and people, whenever they wanted to make an example of someone who was smoking, they'd always point at this person across the street. You want to end up like him? And I'm like, damn, I don't think that's weed. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
you feel me?
Hey, cousin,
Where it's
hey,
like,
cousin, it wasn't
I don't
weed.
think
You
that's
feel me?
weed, Grandpa. Like you can't point at him with
Come
his
on,
pants
man.
falling off and his ding-a-ling
Yeah,
swinging and
yeah.
hair itching his head, and that's
Come
not
on,
weed,
that's
Grandma.
not weed,
so
man.
that's what the urban community, they would go to the extreme
Oh,
to
yeah.
associate marijuana sometimes with the hardcore, hardcore.
So it's funny that you say that.
You know
I
what
had
I'm
this story told to me by this older white guy, and his dad lied to him, and he told me, he said, my dad lied to me, and if my dad wouldn't have lied to me, maybe I would have took a different direction on drugs. He told me that marijuana was bad for me, and so when he told me that, and he said I smoked it, it wasn't what he said it was. So when he told me cocaine was bad for me, I didn't believe
Didn't
it.
believe my
When
boy.
he told me heroin was bad for me, I didn't believe it because he lied about marijuana.
So
And had he told the truth about marijuana instead of lie about it,
I would
then I
believe
probably
everything
wouldn't
else
even
he say.
smoked all them other drugs.
Yeah.
If he told me, just honest with me, that weed is going to do this, do that, but
Yeah.
it ain't going to make you, it's not addictive, it's not this,
Yeah.
and it's not that. But that cocaine, that heroin, that PCP,
Yeah.
all that other stuff
Yeah.
is
Speed.
bad for you. He probably would have never done any of that
he
stuff.
could have taken his dad's word.
Now you know what?
Come on,
That,
and a lot of
that
y'all,
was a really good
a
story.
lot of y'all parents out there
Yeah.
did y'all kids some injustice by lying to them
Yeah.
about something that you shouldn't have lied to them about.
Yep.
So the thing about it is, because my kids grew up in a marijuana environment,
Mm-hmm.
and so when we talk about cannabis and marijuana within my family, my kids grew up in that. My kids grew up seeing me with pounds and pounds of weed, and literally when I would come back from up north with my suitcases full of weed,
Mm-hmm.
and I lay it out on the floor doing my inventory, my daughters were small. They would come running around picking up the weed, tossing them around like they was balls or something.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I gotta move them out the way. But they playing in the weed. And most people would look at that, well, he's a bad parent. He got his little kids around marijuana. But while I was up north getting my weed,
Yeah, those families.
I saw kids running
Yeah.
through the fields of
They
marijuana.
were trimming.
They were out there while their
They could.
parents were cultivating and tilling the garden and harvesting and doing all of that.
Yeah.
The kids were out there running around playing
Yeah.
around that same stuff.
Yeah.
So
The stigma is not the same as
exactly.
what we create.
the stigma wasn't the same.
Yeah.
But when I looked at that, I said, man, they are free.
Yeah.
Right.
They
Right.
are free because they are freely doing what they want to do and what they feel is right within
right. Yeah.
their environment that they are in. Whereas I felt trapped. I'm going back home
Yeah.
out of Humboldt,
Yeah.
back to the city, and now I'm back in the concrete jungle trapped in this because I can't express myself
Yeah.
the way I did, but I did anyway.
Now, Virgil, I want to
It's a fact. It's
piggyback
a fact.
on what you just said, and especially about this narrative. Because when we look at our community, just think about this. For the people that were on the hard drugs like heroin, if they went to the doctor, guess what he did? He gave him another prescription. Take this cough syrup and these pills, which
Yeah.
is just a synthetic version of the heroin. So instead of me being addicted to the heroin, guess what? Now I'm addicted to the cough syrup and the pills.
Exactly.
So-
The cough syrup with codeine in it, which
Come
is
on
that scissor syrup
Yeah.
that
Right.
they doing
Yeah.
now.
That's
that
part of this
lean-
crisis.
That lean.
Yeah, 'cause the
that
pharmacy-
starts them- they start them. That's how they start.
And
man.
that they always want a piece of the pie, but they are corporate, so they always want to be able to patent it. So their way of patenting the streets is always to make it synthetic. So they always gonna take anything that is natural, that's a drug, and they gonna find a way to manufacture it because that's the only way they get to claim it and actually own it.
the same way they did with that what they were calling synthetic weed, and I was getting pissed off every time somebody said. They said, "Oh, that's synthetic." I said, "That's not a weed.
That's
so
not
why are you
weed.
calling it synthetic weed?
Right.
That's potpourri. Call it
Yeah,
what it
potpourri,
is."
remember? Yeah.
Yeah,
I remember the potpourry hustle. That was a whole nother
Hey,
hustle.
don't call it synthetic weed. Call it
about-
potpourri because it's not
It was
weed.
potpourri. It was
You
potpourri.
might well call it like they call it on Doom, spice.
Yeah.
That's
You
what
gonna go mine us some spice.
I mean. That's what it was. I'm gonna tell you something.
Yeah.
The cold part about that spice, and there was a dude when I was in that place. There was a dude that worked out with us. He was from out of D.C. and he got hold to some of that spice while he was up in there. And this was a solid, sane dude. Man, we seen that dude walking around the track, high stepping, stop eating, shrunk, lost weight, literally went crazy off of that stuff. And I said, wow. And we literally had to tell the folks, the people in this system, like, hey, man, help this dude. Do something for this dude.
Yeah.
You know, because they didn't care. Man, they saw him walking around, and the powers that be saw him walking around like that crazy. They wasn't going to do nothing about it until we, as people in the system, saying, hey, man, help this dude. Like something going on with him. Check him in. Get him some medical assistance. Call his family, something. So, you know, we got to activate and say, hey, man, some folks that may have knew his folks there to say, hey, man, can somebody get on the phone and call his peoples and tell them what's going on here? And so, hey, man, that dude ended up dying.
Wow. And you know what's sad
That's-
about that is that's how our communities are. Like it's a constant
crazy.
pressure cooker, right?
Yeah.
And that within itself, when we talk about environment of a human being, is causing stress and anxiety. Now, on top of me being in this pressure cooker, I got the police that's, over policing our community.
Yeah.
I have the drugs that are in the community. And it's like at a certain point, we have to realize that what's been given to us as medicine is not actually making us healthier.
No, it's masking the problems.
Yeah.
So let's even talk about the over policing part. And I know here we We own cannabis, just know that. But let's talk about the over policing part. Drugs in our community make us think the way we think about drugs today and the way we thought about drugs today. Over policing in our community has ruined the mind of black people. Why? Because y'all want to support catch and release. Y'all want to support no bail. Y'all want to support somebody not being hit for doing something until you become the victim of that.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? One thing I don't support is incarceration. I don't support that because I was a victim of that. But what I do support is some law and order in the community. And if you're not going to give it one way, community, if community not going to give it to us one way, like it was back in the 60s and the 70s, and we policed ourselves, then what you get is what you see today. You see smash and grab. You see people running up in other folks' businesses, and sometimes they own folks' businesses, breaking into houses, doing all the stuff that they do, and we talking about catch and release.
But
You
let's-
understand what I'm saying?
But let's talk about
Catch
the
and-
prelude to that. You had the Black Panthers that were in our community with free breakfast, following behind the police, making sure that the arrest was correct, stopping people from running in your business.
Absolutely.
But somehow the government made them our enemy, took them out, and now we got to rely on these
law enforcement.
that don't care nothing about us.
Well,
and
they not even from our community.
Come on now.
So the same law enforcement that ain't from our community is abusing and enforcing on us in the wrong way.
Yes.
But what it did is warped our minds now to say that we want to defund the police. Well, you only want to defund the police until somebody break into your house or somebody steal your car. Now you want to put funds to the police. All that, but see, that's them Negroes, that Democrats that won't, and I have to say it, that won't votes. You don't care nothing about the community when you'll compromise your community for a vote.
Yeah.
And I have to say that.
Yeah.
And because, hey, I'm going to speak in the truth. So I'm going to just say it like it is.
And then
And y'all want to talk about policing and all of that, but sometimes that stuff is necessary.
Yeah.
If we were talking about policing our own community, then in our minds, somewhere along the way, we felt policing was necessary. We didn't feel the Rodney King type policing was necessary in our community, but we did need some law and order Look what's going on in Oakland, San Francisco. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I'm in
yeah.
Oakland
yeah.
on my way to the property up north. I stop at this place in Emeryville. Me and Ben stop at Denny's in Emeryville. We pull up in the truck, and then, we park, and they say, we in there having breakfast. And guess what? Some cats pull up to these people's van, break the window out, snatch and grab, and now they pulling over to our truck to do the same thing. We see what's going on. We jump up out of the seat, because it ain't going down like that now with my shit.
Right.
So he got equipment up in there, and I had money up in there. You know what I'm saying? Enough to be pissed off if it got took.
Yeah.
You feel me? So I'm running up out of there getting ready to kick a window in, snatch one of them little fools up out there and give them a good beat down. Because you're not stealing from me if I can help it.
Right.
So I ran out there. Oh, God was with them that day. I had on flip-flops. And anybody that know me, and y'all know me, I ran track back in the day. And today I still run and can still move a little bit. I may be old, but I can move. Hey, don't get it twisted. I still go out and run on the weekends. So I'm in damn good shape when it come to running.
Yeah.
And I went after them cats, man, but they got out of Dodge.
They was out.
Oh yeah, they
was out.
killed that little Mercedes Benz on out there and hopped on that freeway and got out of Dodge. But I ran right out there after them. So stuff like that wouldn't even be happening in the community.
Yeah. And
if
then
we
and then
had
to
the
add to that
presence-
of
the presence of proper law enforcement
Yeah.
within the presence of proper law enforcement.
the flip side that I would say to all that I believe is, at least if you ain't gonna do that and you ain't gonna provide, the proper protection with policing and the proper protection, then let people properly defend themselves. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Like for me, honestly, if no police, whatever, but if I ain't ever got to worry about no consequences my damn self,
Exactly. I
then
can handle
then
my
then
business.
I can handle my business.
So-
but it's fucked up because not only you fuck with the policing, but then you fuck with our laws that don't make many of us feel comfortable
Exactly.
protecting ourselves because we know the type of consequences we're gonna have to go through.
And
you know what I'm
that's the
saying?
crazy part about it. You not gonna help me. You not gonna come to my defense. But when I defend and protect myself, now I'm the one going
I'm
to
the one
jail.
going. I'm getting.
I'm the
locked up.
one that now has to hire a lawyer,
Yeah.
defend myself in court,
Prove all kinds of reasons why I had to do it.
why I had to do what I had to do. That's like during that George Floyd riot, and they were going around to shops. I mean, and going around the stores and hitting stores and stuff, right?
Yeah.
I'm on Melrose. I done heard they hit cookies, right?
Yeah, I remember
They
that
done-
year.
They
Yep.
done knocked a hole in cookies, right?
That was 2020, I think.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm sitting on Melrose, but I'm in there in the store, and next thing you know, I'm looking at the camera, and I got my gate shut, right?
Yep.
Because I was closing my gate early, so I closed my gate. Next thing, two cars come, pull up, side cock, all in the middle of the street. They come jumping out, right? So I come out with my pistol, right? I'm already sitting in the back with my gun on the table, feet kicked up, watching the camera. So
Yeah.
I'm seeing everything,
Yeah.
right? I come out the front door, pistol in hand. They getting ready to try to pull my
the
gate open,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, I remember those days.
So
Yeah.
I come out there, I say, y'all need help with that gate? They seen that gun in my hand and took off running. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
the point is that we shouldn't have had to go through stuff like that as
Right.
business owners. But if we got to go through it, one thing about it, I come from the school of I rather be caught with it
With it than without
it.
Like I
I
said,
come
I'd rather
from that
be.
school.
Yeah.
So
Like they say, I'd rather be judged by
12 than carried by 6.
You feel me?
You know what I'm saying? I come from
You know what I'm saying?
that type of side of the tracks. You know, growing up in Compton, it was after 10 o'clock, everybody carried a gun. Shoot, you didn't have a gun, you was out of pocket, you was out of place.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's all urban communities in the United States of America.
I'm sure it is. I can
Chicago
only
was
speak
the
for mine,
same way.
though.
Right.
I know what it was about. I know that everybody that came through that door was packing a pistol.
Now, you know what? Like, I really wanted to really express what you guys saying, because that all contributes to the environment that Black and brown people got to live in, and that's one of the underlying factors from the stress, the anxiety, and the depression that we're dealing with.
Which causes people to then consume cannabis or want to consume cannabis. Right. The thing is that we have been consuming cannabis for so long, we actually forgot and didn't realize what we were consuming cannabis for. And a lot of people are consuming cannabis for stress, consuming cannabis to go to sleep, consuming cannabis because they have anxiety, consuming cannabis because they have PTSD, living in the ghetto and being brutalized by police, being brutalized by people in their own community, being brutalized because they may be a square or different. Because if you was a square, you got picked on where I came from. If you was somebody different and you wasn't thugging and gangbanging and you wasn't a killer or a drug dealer, you was a square. And so that square was looked at different. You know what I'm saying?
If you was a band, if you was in band, you was.
Yeah, you know what
choir.
I'm saying? Yeah, you was a square, so you was treated different
At least
within
those
that
days, I'm just
community.
speaking for myself, too.
Unfortunately,
Yeah, I'm
I
saying.
grew up a square within the community.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I was looked at as that square within the community. And I had to learn certain things as I was navigating through the I guess the jungles that I navigated through.
Yeah.
I had to begin to round up. You know what I'm saying?
Warren G.
Yeah, I couldn't
And they
I couldn't be square anymore. You know, I couldn't be that cat that, you know, coming out of college, you know, talking that, you
Yeah.
know, talk. Because of now I'm in the jungle.
You in the
and,
mix.
and I'm in the mix.
Yeah.
I'm now beginning to sell weed on the streets of Compton.
Yeah.
And make a name for myself. And I couldn't be that square, because then you become a victim.
food. Yeah.
You become a victim.
Yeah.
You and y'all know
Become
what I'm
food,
talking about.
yeah.
You become a victim.
Yeah.
And you know, it's easy to have that happen. But back to the point at hand.
So the main reason why I made the comparison between modern medicine and holistic way of dealing with it. Because when you think about synthetic drugs, they address symptoms caused by a specific disease as understood by scientists. However, herbal medicine, which cannabis is just a herbal medicine.
And I don't think, Keith, that people break down. Keith talked about disease, but have you broke that word down? Dis-ease. Dis-ease. And once you start breaking these words down, it'll then give you a clear understanding of how to deal with these
Yes.
things. And knowing that you don't need synthetic medicine to deal with dis-ease.
Right.
Because only thing they do is when you have this dis-ease, it affects your body in a certain way.
Right.
Be it pain, be it uneasiness, be it whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And so what they want to do is give you synthetic drugs to mask the
That's it.
problem.
That's literally
It's
it.
just masking the problem.
Yes.
It's not fixing the problem. You know why? Because your body fixes itself.
Correct.
It's
We
masking
gotta
the problem.
Understand that the body fixes
Yeah, you-
itself
Yep.
through a lot of mechanisms. That,
Yeah,
hey,
you-
Yeah,
let me
it's-
tell y'all something. God didn't make no mistakes.
Yes,
Believe
sir.
that. God did not make no mistakes. He taught the body how to cool itself down when it gets hot, how to warm itself up when it gets cold, how to deal with itself, how to realign and readjust itself. We just have to know the tools that we need to make that happen. And the problem is they strip those tools from us, which is the naturopathic way,
Yes.
which was the African way, which it
Yes.
came from that sense of treating certain things that was going on. There's always a natural way to do it, but we bought into the modern medicine way of doing
Yeah.
things.
And then, like he said, it not only the other part about it is that it harms you, so you have to take other pills. You know what I'm saying? That's the thing about synthetics is that you take it, so then you have to take others and take others because
Right.
it's
'Cause the
always
first one
damage. It's
goes
always
to
damaging
pressure.
something.
Take this and Zambiax X number 2, and at the end of it, will cause your asshole to bleed.
Yeah.
Will
Now you
cause-
don't need
And then take
will
another
cause
one for
stomach
this.
pains. Will cause this.
Shit, y'all
May
see-
cause death. Constant.
Everything.
Yeah. Constant lack of breath. Constant this. Man, it hit you with about 24 other things. You'd be like, shit. Let me deal with this one I got. And I don't want to deal with these 24 this medicine about to put on.
And that's why there's disclaimers, and people don't really be paying attention to them shit sometimes. When you do, you be like, "Damn."
Yeah, like this gonna do that. It's gonna make my ass secrete. It's
Well,
gonna
wait a
make
minute. Look, wait a minute. I got one for you. What's the number one symptom you're going to have from taking modern medicine? The number one symptom.
Nausea or stomach diarrhea.
That's 2 and 3.
That's 2 and 3. So
Yeah.
nausea and diarrhea 2 and 3.
Constipation.
Oh yeah.
Constipation.
So
it's
now
all
think,
bowel. It's
now-
all with the
now
bowels.
think about
though.
that for a second. Your immune system in your gut,
It's
right?
all in
Yeah.
the stomach.
So if you trying to tell me that I can't get rid of the waste
That's in my gut.
that's in my gut, come on now, how am I going to
And
heal
that's
myself?
what they talk about right now. Oh, take probiotics for gut health. Gut
Yes,
health.
sir.
Gut health. Everybody talking about gut. Oh, well, you know, like Dr. Goss, Dr. Sabies, all of these doctors that was in the naturopathic doctors, they have been talking about gut health from day one.
Yes, and
Dr.
being
Russell,
alkaline.
Dr. Keith Richardson.
Yes, sir.
These are all naturopathic doctors that have been in the game for a long time and constantly used to tell you about gut health. And now all of a sudden, these folks then came out with some probiotics to tell you about gut health, and y'all done bought in.
Yeah, yeah.
But y'all didn't buy in
Y'all
when
bought
Dr.
in.
Sabi was saying it.
Nah, they
Y'all
bought
didn't
in. The
buy
doctors-
when
they-
Dr. Wizard was talking about it.
They
and Dr. Goss and Dr. Keith Richardson and Dr.
They bought
all
in.
of them telling
What they
you.
did was they bought into Dr. Seuss and his green eggs and ham.
Yeah. Yeah, they did bring in the green eggs and ham, and you bought into it. Bought into the bullshit. You know what I'm saying?
Now, Mr. Cultivator A and Mr. Cultivator B, when we growing weed, right, and we look on the ECs for our nutrient, right?
Yes.
What is the ECs on your nutrient?
Shoot, the easy shoot. I need all the things that our body needs. So let me just run you magnesium,
Yes, sir.
potassium.
Yes, sir.
Help me out. Magnesium, potassium. We need,
Calcium.
calcium, yes.
Calcium.
CalMag.
Nitrogen.
calcium and magnesium,
Nitrogen.
Nitrogen.
That's the first part.
H2O,
Water.
you know,
A lot of water, right?
Exactly.
Now, why that's so important when you look at
And
how
natural salts. We need the natural sodium.
right, but what I want you guys to pay attention to as cultivators, when we dealing with this living organism, we looking at that whole plant. And we
Exactly.
giving it the things, the building blocks to get it to grow out.
Right.
Yes.
How can we approach our bodies any differently?
Exactly.
We can't just throw medicine at your body and be like, hey, I hope it gets better. No.
And that's why the organic growers don't want to put all of that medicine into their plant.
Yes.
That synthetic medicine into their plant. They want all natural. Worm castings,
Yes, sir.
chicken shit. You know what I'm saying? All of the things that create nitrogen within your plant to give it what it needs to grow.
Naturally.
You know what I'm saying? Iron in your plant for it to grow. Iron is a big important part
Fish, I know
of our bodies present day.
Yes, yes. Now, what?
Yep.
And we making this comparison, guys, because as this what we call health industry matures more, the natural and holistic approach, we want people to understand. Just like Hippocrates, when he went to Africa to try to learn how these diseases could be cured, he did observation. So our first thing that we want to share with you as listeners is start observing your body, start journaling about your body, so you can start seeing.
So
this is what I'm putting in. This is what I'm getting out.
and so what like they say, what is a philosopher? When you look up the definition of philosopher, what is a philosopher?
Damn, I want to look it up.
Look it up.
Look.
Look it up. Look up the definition of that and tell me what that definition is.
Show me what
That
the
way you
definition
can get
of
a-
philosopher is real quick.
You can get a clear understanding
What's
of
the
this.
definition of philosopher?
What is a philosopher?
A person engaged or learning in philosophy, especially as an academic discipline.
And what does he do? He observes, just what you said. He doesn't do anything to create something. He just observes what you already created. When you talk about Socrates and Aristotle, they went to Africa not to create something. They went to Africa to observe and then take and then bring back and claim it as their own.
Yes. Yes. Now, and I think the African that actually came up with name was Imhotep.
Imhotep.
So he was literally the father of medicine.
AHMOTEP.
The father of medicine, Imhotep, the father of medicine. Y'all got to know this, man, because modern medicine, and when we talk about ancient medicine, and we're not talking about ancient medicine in the way that you talk about the synthetic medicine today. We're talking about all natural medicine.
Yes. Yes.
How do you think these people, y'all that believe in the Bible, that read the Bible, how do you think people like Moses and Aaron and all of the people in the Old Testament lived to 100 and something? How you think God kept them alive that long?
Right. Then Methuselah lived like 600-700 years.
Come on, man.
Like
400, 500, 600
what happened?
years. you got Noah living 600-700 years, 800 years. They was living a long time. You know why? Because their bodies were, we talking old medicine. We talking old healing. And so we left away from that. And we should be trying to get back. Cannabis plays a big role in that. And we don't even understand that. We thinking we just smoking just to get high. You know, the youngsters out there, they smoking to get high. They smoke weed like crack cocaine. Let's keep it real.
Right.
The youngsters smoke weed like crack cocaine. They don't smoke weed like we do.
Yeah.
They smoke weed like crack
But they don't
cocaine.
inhale it. They blow it out as quick as they like. If you watch the average youngster smoke cannabis, it's like a cigarette.
Yeah, it ain't even
So they not
consumption.
even consuming it to the point to allow
on,
it
man.
to do
Come on,
you know
man.
what it needs for your body.
Exactly. So what they doing is lighting a blunt with a blunt and another blunt.
Yeah.
And it's how
Smoke.
and it's how high can I get?
Yeah. And you know what's
Are you high yet?
Yep, and that's a
You
very
know what I'm
interesting
saying?
thing because I feel like my generation was a generation that started being the stoner. We just do it to just get high. So that's why I think I understood our recreational market so well because that was really what we did it for.
Exactly.
If that makes any sense. Like the
No.
generation prior
Yeah.
was more holistic. I came in where I had
Exactly.
like my big bros like you
Yeah.
to see and friends that, but then I came in when it was pumped to just be pretty much just to get blasted.
Yeah. How
Just
high
get
can I
how
get?
high can I get?
Mm-hmm.
So that's why when I used to run the stores and help people out, and even till today, I'm like, the holistic thing is a beautiful thing. But when we take it back to money and economics,
Yeah.
it's really truly still the ones that get blasted that buy the most. That's why they're getting blasted.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
But then
Which is
I-
interesting.
You know
But,
what?
but yes and no. Yes and no. And why I say yes and no, because you'll still have your old schooler that'll come in and get their ounce.
Yeah.
And that ounce will last them for, a few days
few
throughout
days.
that week.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And they not, doing it to get blasted. They
No.
sitting back relaxing,
They're-
chilling. A lot of us now these days are consuming weed for very different reasons.
Yes.
Not the reasons that people think in their mind weed consumption is being consumed for. Very different reasons. Sometimes if I consume weed, it's to go to sleep.
Right.
If I consume weed, it's to, take the edge off. Had a rough day, had a
Yeah.
this. It's like people that have a beer when they go home, or somebody will have a glass of wine. I remember when my daddy back in the day used to ride with a cold beer in the van. He got his beer nuts there. He got his cold brew, and we in the van riding going home. Now, see, that was the good old days when you could do that and not get pulled over.
No DWI, no DUI.
Well, yeah, because they wasn't drinking to get drunk.
Right.
It wasn't until these idiots, and if you really pay attention to the time when these idiots want to get in coming from a bar off a hard liquor blasted,
Yeah.
and then you want to jump in a car and kill a kid or kill somebody. Not like my dad who ran his businesses all day and got off and just needed him a good little brew and his beer nuts to take him to a cold brew to take him to the house and the beer nuts. That's how it was back in the day. I even used to know a cat that used to get him a half a pint of Hennessy or a pint of Hennessy to take on the ride with him to get on the road to Vegas. And he'd sip on that Hennessy all the way to Vegas. He don't drink the whole damn bottle.
Just a little sip here and there.
Just enough to
Just a little
mellow
bump.
him out and relax him. Yeah, See, but then now we take it out of control. Everybody want to smoke to get high, pop a pill to get high, want to drink to get drunk.
Yep.
Instead of drink to be merry or drink to enjoy themselves and have a good time. You can do that stuff in moderation.
Yeah.
So, very good discussion. Like, you guys have to understand, like, this opiate crisis is one that involves human nature, because humans are very addictive. Why haven't we outlawed sugar? Because we're very, very much addicted to that. So the other thing is, when you look at modern medicine and you look at the holistic approach wants you to make a lifestyle change.
I want to make a lifestyle change.
The modern medicine is basically telling you that, man, you can do whatever you want.
And a lifestyle change, simply for you guys that don't really understand that, a lifestyle change is just changing some of the things that you do. Don't eat to get stuffed.
Yes, sir.
Just eat to be comfortable, to be full enough and comfortable. Some of us feel we got to clean our plates. We got to eat everything on our plates, and now we miserably stuffed. Some people, eat half the burger, not the whole burger. Eat a small fry instead of a medium or large fry. You can always tell people when we talk about diets, you don't have to sometimes change what you do if you do it in moderation. You don't have to eat beef every day. Just eat it sometimes. You don't have to eat pork every day. You don't have to eat certain things every day. You don't have to pig out when you do it. Just do it in moderation, and you can continue to do it. I don't have a certain diet that I watch. I eat whatever the heck I want to eat, but I don't just be a glutton about when it's time for me to eat it. And I eat pizza, I'll eat hamburgers, I'll eat all kind of stuff. But I do it in moderation. I don't sit there and chomp down the whole damn pizza because I bought it. I'll eat, a couple of slices If I'm good, okay, put that bad boy in the ice box and I'll warm that bad boy up the next day in the oven like it was brand new.
Now, I'm gonna tell you what's so important about that. You guys know about fasting, right?
Yes.
So fasting has two connotations. A spiritual connotation, just saying I'm disciplined enough to shut my food off to my flesh in honor of my spirit. But then 3 days of fasting will actually reset your immune
body.
system.
Will reset your whole immune system.
Right. So just having that constraint, what he's saying as far as, hey, you know what? I'm just going to eat half. This all builds that discipline to be able to get to those 3 days.
Exactly.
Now, I want to transition to our last subject, which is the veterans assets
And
and
we'll
research.
have to come back on that because we don't have enough time in the podcast. But hey, look, I mean,
I thought you could-
sometimes here on this podcast, we get carried away with a lot of things that, and subjects are so good that we want to talk about. Is filled with a lot of information. We're not your regular weed podcast. We come here to give y'all good information.
Yes, sir.
We come here to give y'all real facts. We come here to talk about certain things. We went on one today, but just understand, we're going to come back and talk about veterans in cannabis. We're going to come back and talk about pesticides. Because pesticides is a big thing right now. It's in the news. I will be on, NPR on Thursday. So tune in to NPR because we will be talking about, and that's a radio station, Larry Elders Talk Radio, Air Talk Radio with Larry Elders. And I will be on that radio talking about pesticides and what the Los Angeles Times talked about the pesticides in the industry, the legal industry.
And don't
now
forget
understand, I said there are two sides to the industry. So if the legal industry has come across pesticides, what you think the unlicensed, the unregulated industry is doing? They ain't giving a damn because they ain't testing nothing. They don't care if they plant, get bugs on it, they gonna spray it with pesticides to kill it. They are gonna do what they have to do. And we are on Tokyo's show on Monday the 30th. And so I want you guys to tune in to Tokyo show.
Tokyo Tony. So if you guys are not familiar, that's Black China's mom. She's starting a brand, Blue Gorilla. And what's so key about what we talked about today, the depression that's going on in our community. Here's a word that I'm going to introduce. It's called post-traumatic slave syndrome. Yes, if you think about the Holocaust victims, 6 million Jews died in what the Nazis did to them. They discovered that there's trauma passed down from the mom into the child. Mm-hmm. And if you don't deal with it, it'll just keep on, it's almost like a generational curse.
Itself.
Right.
Yeah,
So,
it'll perpetuate itself. Yeah. And that was done by design.
Yeah.
You know, beating the father in front of the woman while she's pregnant to pump fear in the baby, or to do something in front of the woman while she's pregnant to pump fear in the baby. That's real stuff within our history. And one thing about it is that what should have happened, if Obama wanted to do something, he should have made America admit slavery, and then we wouldn't be fighting for reparations, because we'd have got reparations. Everybody get reparations but us. Everybody want to talk about, right now we talking about Ukraine. Right now, we talking about what's going on in Israel and Palestine. We are talking about what's going on in other countries. Well, we not even dealing with the issue right here in our own country. And we ain't even talking about slavery. They want us to forget slavery. That's a part of history. How we going to forget slavery? Because that's a part of history. You understand what I'm saying? So, you know, we want to give money here, give money there, do this and do that for everybody else. But what about the people here? Mm-hmm. We done sent billions of dollars to Ukraine, and we done sent billions of dollars over there to Israel. How many billions of dollars we put right here in LA to deal with the homeless crisis, the opiate epidemic, the fentanyl epidemic right here in our own country? We should be putting dollars behind that. But we too busy worrying about somebody else that ain't even going down right here in our own homeland. So do we really want to fix what's going on here? You know, I have to always ask that question. Do we really want to fix? Do they really want to fix what's going on around here?
That's
Some
the
of that
key
billions
question.
of dollars could have took care of us with reparations. What about Black Wall Street? Where's the reparations there? What about Rosewood? Where's the reparations there? You know what I'm saying? What about when they bombed in Chicago that apartment with the Panthers in it? What about reparations
Oh,
there?
Fred Hampton.
Yeah.
Over there, right down the street from where we used to stay.
Exactly. What about reparations there? And
What
the
about
list can-
reparations for the war on drugs?
Exactly.
The 1.8 million people that went to jail for cannabis
that
use
went
and
to
possession.
jail, but families that was destroyed. We used to own stuff, and then cocaine took that away from us because those that wasn't solid enough to stay strong enough got hooked on that cocaine, owned homes, had educations, families, 401ks, and all that stuff, and screwed that off on dope. Where's our reparations for that? You understand me? So we were supposed to get a piece of reparations here in the cannabis industry with the social equity program. And that didn't happen. We're going to talk about that. We're going to come back on the podcast and we're going to have a whole segment on social equity and what happened to social equity in the city of Los Angeles. Who sold us out? Who sold us out? So we're going to come back next week. We're going to talk about that. Thank y'all for tuning in for Token Tuesday. I got Keith over here to my left and Marco to my right.
You know.
Two cannabis players come bringing real cannabis issues. Until then, we will see y'all next Tuesday. Tune in at 8 o'clock to Token Tuesday, powered by California Cannabis, where only the best
grows in the West.
in the West.
You know what I'm saying?
Peace out, y'all.
Peace.
Token Tuesday, it's what we do. We just sit around, smoke a pound, and talk about what we do in the cannabis world. We gon' let you know how the business go on a brand new show. Token Tuesday, show you